Live from Freeport, Grand Bahama, this is Newsnight 13 at 6:30.
You're watching Newsnight 13 for this Tuesday, December 4th, 2012. Good evening all, I'm Altovise Munnings. Thanks so much for making us a part of your Tuesday. Here's what's making news. The Ministry for Grand Bahama continuing its mandate to put the nation's second city back on a path to sustainable economic growth. This vision was recently shared with heads of government agencies during a special meeting. Sabrina Brown has tonight's top story.
The Minister for Grand Bahama, Dr. Michael Darville, says his ministry is working with the Ministry of Tourism to establish a plan for short and long-term development projects for the island. Minister Darville says training will be a major component of this initiative.
You know, years ago there was a survey done by expats coming in here, or tourists coming into our country, and they were displeased with the service we provided. We cannot sweep that under the rug. We have to address that in the open at this level and begin to brainstorm on particular ways how we can improve that and go ahead and begin to initiate those plans so that we can get the job done.
Minister Darville also notes that his ministry is working with the Grand Bahama Port Authority on the renegotiation of tax provisions under the Hawkesbury Creek Agreement, set to expire in 2015.
We have the legal manpower, we have the expertise in the Hawkesbury Creek Agreement, we have the manpower resources that we are addressing this with the possible alternatives that will best suit the island of Grand Bahama, and we will have to vet it in the community to see if they buy into it. We will begin that in the new year.
The minister says talks about the port's role in Freeport are ongoing.
Take, for instance, the Fishing Hole Road. After my investigation, in the Hawkesbury Creek Agreement, Queens Highway belongs to the government. It's in Freeport, but it's the government responsibility, not the Port Authority. How do we work together? Yes, the government must do its part, but we must also connect with our partners in order to get the job done.
Sabrina Brown, ZNS Network News.
Thanks so much, Sabrina. Well, we've got more to tell you about tonight about that oil spill off the coast of Grand Bahama yesterday. Ministry of Transport and Aviation officials confirmed during a press conference in New Providence yesterday that Mediterranean shipping vessel, the Eugenia, started leaking oil while leaving the Freeport Harbor around 4:30 yesterday morning. Transport and Aviation Minister Glennis Hannah Martin told the media that the captain and crew reported seeing bubble formations of heavy crude oil emanating from the vessel in the water and worked feverishly to stop the leak. The transport minister admitted that the cause of the leak was still not clear on Monday, but apparently she indicated that it was a storage tank that was holding approximately 3,000 barrels of fuel. Minister Hannah Martin says it's unknown how much oil spilled into waters off the northern Bahamas. However, the Oil Spill Contingency Committee opted not to use dispersal chemicals to break down the oil because experts believed it would have caused the oil to sink to the ocean floor and potentially harm the marine environment. Now, because the spill is classified as a Tier 1 spill, the lowest of 3 in the scale, minimal damage is expected. The Transport Minister also revealed that once the Eugenia is removed, officials from the BEST Commission are expected to complete an on-site assessment of the vessel's path to determine if there was any harm to the marine environment. Meanwhile, the Eugenia was dry docked today to prepare for a further investigation into the incident, as well as undergo repairs. Well, in other news this Tuesday, this Yuletide season, we revisit a touching story of two brothers whose plight recently made headlines. Tonight, as Newsnight 13 brings you this update, an appeal is going out from family members and officials of a local agency at the forefront of assisting those in need on Grand Bahama. That story tonight from Joan Davis Roll.
Happy, really happy where he is, and I love it. I really love it.
His expression of joy and jubilation today is a stark contrast to when Newsnight 13 first brought you the heart-wrenching story of Jimmy and Billy Cash, two brothers who were discovered by urban renewal officials barely clinging to life as they lived at the rear of a warehouse in substandard conditions, filled with human waste and garbage, and where for the past 2 years they've both called home. Now, weeks after making that horrifying discovery, the Cash brothers are on their way to recovery. Following weeks of hospitalization, both of them, through efforts of urban renewal on Grand Bahama, have a new place to call home, the Boers home located in Freeport.
everything is all right. I seen the doctor yesterday, and then they tell me it's really good, looking good. I maybe soon be back by maybe a couple more months. I'll be back on my feet again.
As Jimmy attempts to get back on his feet, the healing process for his brother has been a greater challenge. Jimmy, along with relative Crystal Lowe, who said she first learned about her cousin's plight when they made local and international headlines, say they shudder to think what could have happened if urban renewal had not stepped in. Both say they are grateful.
I'm thankful for them finding them, because had they not found them, I mean, I live here in Freeport and I had no idea this was going on. So had they not found them, then I don't think it would have had this turnout that we have today, because ultimately I think one of them would have been dead, if not both.
You say the persons who say that this is not real, that this is something that has been fabricated, and having seen this, and especially this being a relative of yours, how do you feel?
It's definitely not exploited. I mean, I'm a family member, and it's unfortunate that a lot of people simply in their condition, they don't want to admit that that's their family. I did call Abaco, and they've assisted the situation, but they're in Abaco, they're distant family members, and what I'm really saddened about is the fact that these two men have paid into society, they have contributed, and we're having a very difficult time getting anything back, in particular from social services. It's been a fight on my part. I've spent the last week there, and it's been very difficult.
Wow. Deputy Director of Urban Renewal on Grand Bahama, Michelle Reckley, says while some strides have been made to assist his family, she's compelled to continue to echo this appeal for help.
We was able to bring them here with absolutely no money, no food, and they were accepted here. And today, as you can see, they have been well kept here, because they cannot take care of each other and they cannot take care of themselves. My reason for being here today is to make a public appeal. You know, while we go about our day-to-day operations, and while we feel the spirit of Christmas, Christmas is all about giving and sharing. I want to make a public appeal for those of you who can. Corporate Grand Bahama, I'm calling on the churches, I'm calling on you who have just a little to offer. Remember the Burris House, remember Jimmy and Billy, and to know that they need help.
Joan Davis-Roll, 7S Network News.
The Hawksville Clinic is now back in operation after it was vandalized during the early morning hours on Monday. Hospital Administrator Catherine Reach told our news team that the culprits reportedly broke into the medical facility sometime after 6 a.m. on Monday. She said they gained entry through the physiotherapy department at the rear of the main clinic and reportedly vandalized files and equipment. The culprits also allegedly stole a television and some petty cash. The culprits then broke into the main clinic through a back window, broke into the pharmacy, and stole a cabinet. We understand they were able to get into the treatment room and pharmacy storeroom, and the culprits then reportedly attempted to remove a second television set. Now, Administrator Weish claims the damage is extensive, as they have to replace about 6 doors, a window, screens, locks to cabinets, and equipment. She says they are now in the process of making the necessary repairs, which is estimated to cost in excess of $8,000. The administrator says security at the clinic has been beefed up, and they now have 24-hour security monitoring. Well, from the Daily Crime Report, Drug Enforcement Unit officers here on Grand Bahama, while in the area of Clive Avenue around 5:45 yesterday afternoon, acted on information and discovered a firearm described by police as a black and silver .380 Jimenez arms pistol with 1 magazine containing a .380 hollow tip ammunition under some rocks. An active police investigation into this discovery continues. Well, when Newsnight 13 continues, we'll hope you're in the holiday spirit. We'll tell you about some organizations bringing some Christmas cheer. That story's on the next set of the break.